The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everybody, thanks again so much for joining us today for the GFI LanGuard, what's new in the GFI LanGuard 2014 presentation today. Now what we're going to do is kind of cover essentially first what GFI LanGuard is, and we'll go over some of the basic stuff first. Basically what we want to do is kind of, before we get into it, look over what some of the key points are that we're going to cover. For those of you that are a little bit new to the product for GFI LanGuard, we're going to look at exactly what GFI LanGuard is. Then we're going to take a brief look at the current features of GFI LanGuard. We're going to look at the new features added to the release of GFI LanGuard 2014. Then we're actually going to take a look at where you can find those new features in the product UI itself. And then finally we'll go through a summary of today's presentation and look at the pricing model specifics and another special offer that we have that will be added to you to the new release for you. Once again, my name is Joshua Daggs. I'm the America's Sales Engineer here at GFI Software. And we're going to be going over this presentation with you today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask those using your little question box there. And I'll try and get some of those answered throughout the product demonstration and throughout our presentation today. If we do not get to those, please do not hesitate to put those questions in there and do not fret. We'll be more than happy to get those answers over to you via email afterward. Okay, let's go ahead and get this thing started. First of all, again, for any of you guys that are new to the GFI LanGuard product, or even if you're already familiar with it, might want a quick refresher, we're going to discuss what GFI LanGuard is. Now, GFI LanGuard is essentially a virtual security consultant, if you will. It acts as a liaison for the different computers and other network connectable devices that are there in your network, utilizing three different key services. The first one would be patch management, second would be vulnerability assessment, and then finally network and software auditing. Now, using these key services as the tools for maintaining the various different components of that those tools covers, you use these tools to scan, then detect, assess, and then finally resolve any of those security vulnerabilities or any kind of missing patches or critical things that need identified in that network. Now, it does so by various different types of security issues being checked for. For instance, missing security patches, missing service packs, open or unsecured share stores if you have any of those on your network, and then of course any open or vulnerable network ports, and that covers also TCP as well as UDP. And then other things like unused user accounts or a lot of other things like that. So it covers a lot of information. Now once it scans, assesses, and detects all of these different types of vulnerabilities, and they're identified, then it goes through and resolves these, and then after that you can actually generate a wide variety of different reports to verify the current security status, the current patch status of all of those other patches that it may have found, and then a compliance assessment as well for you, those of you guys that have to adhere to different compliance policies and things like that. So let's take a look at what GFI LanGuard's current features are before we get into the new stuff, so we can kind of reiterate what exactly it does. GFI LanGuard offers, first of all, patch automation. So a lot of those other different types of programs and application updates that you need to do on a regular maintaining basis. Typically for IT guys or admins that have to maintain control over this, it's very time consuming, it's very tedious, it's very annoying, because depending on how large or how robust that environment, that network environment is, you're talking about a lot of manpower, a lot of keeping track of a lot of stuff. Especially if you're already trying to automate that process for your Microsoft servers and workstations using like WSUS or something like that. This will actually allow you to either work in conjunction with WSUS or go ahead and use LanGuard as a complete replacement for that, because it's already going to do your patching for Microsoft, Mac OS operating systems, various things like that. Microsoft and other third-party applications, which means including non-operating system applications from Microsoft, such as Office and various other things like that. And then those third-party applications like Java, Adobe, all those other various different components that we may use throughout the day, as well as security and non-security updates, things like critical fixes or exploits that may have been identified in different versions of software that need to be fixed by simple updates. Vulnerability assessment, which is going to not only look for vulnerabilities on a server within your network, but also the other stuff like workstations, laptops, again, the servers it will, but also other network devices too. And it does that by performing over 50,000 different vulnerability checks. You would think, wow, I really didn't know that there were going to be that many. Well, there is. There's a lot that IT guys have to keep track with. So this is a real good way for them to be able to centralize and manage that without pulling their hair out. The integration part of that works with over 2,500 different critical security applications. Okay, so we're talking about all kinds of different things like different Windows services, different security applications to help increase the security levels over your different environments. We can actually work very well with those other security applications as well. Very interactive, very powerful dashboard, something that you can actually go into and visually see what's going on by identifying the computers or the different network connectable devices, see what kind of different vulnerabilities or patches that has been identified, and actually be able to navigate everything really well and be able to find stuff pretty easily. And we'll actually look at some of that here today in our actual product UI demo. And then, of course, you can run those dedicated reports that we mentioned a little bit earlier for the various different types of compliances that you may run into. Things like PCI DSS, HIPAA, PSN, GLBA, various different things like that, Sarbanes-Oxley. So there's regulations that you can actually keep up with, dedicated or very intricate reports based on what types of compliance policies you have to follow. And then, of course, not only being able to do remediation, but being able to do remediation well, or do remediation with performance in mind. So being able to do that either using an agent or using a relay agent, or basically setting up a machine where all of your patches and your vulnerability fixes and your server updates and stuff like that all get downloaded into one spot. And then from that point, the rest of your machines can download from it using your local LAN bandwidth instead of your external WAN bandwidth, so that you don't consume that and slow down your network externally. Now let's get into some of the new stuff. What we covered, very good, very current features are very great, but now let's take a look at what we've added here. What we've added is Mac OS, Apple OS X type patching, which is a wonderful tool, especially for things like smartphones and tablets. You can manage those from a single console, again, by using Microsoft, using your operating system that you've already installed LanGuard on. But the nice thing about this is you can actually patch various different things that are outside of that, like your smartphone and tablet vulnerability scanning. So you can actually look at mobile devices now. We've added some great detailed patch features and patch management for various different types of Linux. And then, of course, some extended patch capabilities and some more robust reporting improvements that we've made as well. Just digging into that a little bit, let's kind of focus a little bit on, or elaborate on, the smartphone and tablet vulnerability scanning first. Very easy to deploy because it's agentless. You don't have to deploy an agent on mobile devices, and typically you can't because they're running things like mobile apps. But it is an agentless detection of those mobile devices. Typically, whenever you have a mobile device, either a tablet or a smartphone, something like that you're using, that you connect to your company's Microsoft Exchange servers, it's going to allow LanGuard to take advantage of that connection to your internal network and be able to provide vulnerability scanning for those devices, coming up with various different things like if it has to find out if there's any specific updates or anything like that, or if there's any vulnerabilities assessments as far as whether or not there's specific ports that get used, or if there's some out-of-date software that there may be exploits involved with. This will actually allow you to do that. There's nothing to install on the smartphones. Again, it's not an app. It's not a mobile app that you have to run. It just uses that existing connection back to your Microsoft Exchange servers on your company to be able to establish that connection. So we've actually integrated LanGuard to be able to take advantage of that. It collects various different types of information, like the username, job title, department, all that kind of stuff. Basically, if you want to call it basic LDAP query information using your IMAP services, it'll find out the device manufacturer. For instance, if it's an iOS device, it'll let you know what type of Apple type device it's running, the model, the operating system version, and the last time it connected. So it creates essentially a general inventory of different types of components that these mobile devices would use. Basic user information, manufacturer, operating system, last connection time, so on and so forth. So it can actually generate who and when these different types of devices connect to your network. It also scans or gives you a list of various vulnerabilities that will apply to that specific device operating system. For instance, it's not just for Windows-based operating systems. Android, iOS, and Windows phones are also supported. So any of vulnerabilities or any kind of issues that have been identified for those specific OS types for those mobile devices, we can actually give you vulnerability assessments for. And then, of course, we can report on and let you know of any operating system updates that would be available for those particular devices that may actually remediate some of those different vulnerabilities that we've identified. You can actually predefine email templates also, so that you can notify the device owners of anything that might have occurred or anything that we might have found, like latest updates for the different operating systems for that device. So you can say, hey, we found this specific type of thing, a vulnerability that has been addressed by the new updated version of the OS for your phone. You might want to get that taken care of. If it's a BYOD or if it's something that's company regulated, you'll be able to do that. Nice and easy. The other component that we've added is getting some more details on, or getting more granular as far as our support by being able to do patch management and vulnerability assessments for our Linux distributions. The reason why I say that is because before in our previous versions, you could do some generic checks against basic stuff that you would find in a Linux distro, but this allows you to become a little bit more explicit on some of those more popular distributions. Red Hat, Enterprise Linux for one, very big presence in various different types of business environments now. Ubuntu, SUSE, OpenSUSE, CentOS is another very big one that we see being open source and free to use, and then of course Debian. Various different operating system updates and things like that, as well as third-party updates. So if you have some applications that are running on this particular machine, we can actually look for different types of updates and patches that would fall in line with those Linux apps also. And this is really going to open you up to some opportunities here, guys, because first of all, you have the ability to work LanGuard into these mixed environments now. Okay, now granted, your base operating system for LanGuard itself is going to be a Windows-based box, but you can do scans, vulnerability assessment, and patching for all of your other distros, Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, and various different distributions of those. We've extended the patch management to 50 or more, well, a little over 50 new supported third-party applications. And some of those are going to be the ones that you have listed here, like, for instance, your instant messaging. We can now patch and do vulnerability updates and patches for Pigeon. If anybody uses multi-platform or multi-account messaging, that's a good way of doing that. As well as some other things like documents imaging, some more detailed patch management on Adobe Creative Suite. We've actually added now, so Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, and then developing tools, which is another one we've added, including Python and Notepad+. So we can actually, and again, these are just to name a few, but there's a lot of new added patches for different third-party apps that we've supported now. Let's take a peek at where some of the new features can be found actually in the user interface. So it's nice, okay, great, here it is. Now where do I find it in the user interface? Let's go ahead and switch over to our demo server real quick, and we'll kind of take a look at where you can find that stuff and how you're going to set that up. First view is going to be your main overview dashboard of GFI LanGuard 2014. Very easy to use because we haven't changed the dashboard around a lot, so you don't have to navigate any new structure. If you're already used to the interface, very simple to navigate. None of this has changed, but you will notice that some of the icons have changed depending on what type of operating system you're running. If you're running anything like a Server 2012 base, you're going to notice the new pretty little blue icon that matches the new icon provided by Microsoft. But you'll also see this other section down here called mobile devices. Nice thing about this is once a mobile device has been identified, of course you're going to be able to see that. It's going to be separated out. It'll give you the same basic information that your servers or your other machines on the network are going to give you. Only difference being is it's not going to highlight an IP because, well, at this point, mobile devices don't house IP addresses, but they'll have things like machine IDs, the manufacturer's name, what the OS version is, and so on and so forth. So you'd have very similar computer details noted for specific mobile devices that will be visible and available over your mobile devices there. So you will actually find that here. So if you need to add anything, this is where you're going to find your new mobile devices at. Again, Windows-based, Windows Mobile-based OS, iOS, and Android. So we can cover all three of those. Being able to set up your different scanning and vulnerability assessments for your other Linux-based distributions, a lot of that's going to look pretty much the same. So again, it's not going to be something that's going to be some kind of a learning curve. Simply go into your scanning profiles. And then you're going to find this under your patch or your scanning profiles management or your scanning profiles editor. Once you go back into that section, it would be a matter of simply going in again and then verifying different operating systems or different patches for various different things over your scan profile. So if you're creating a profile specifically for mobile devices, which you can, the setup is initially going to be the same way. You'll create a new profile, give it a name, and then you're going to go build your scanning profile based on the different types of stuff you're looking for. So if we go under OS and failures, for instance, under a vulnerability assessment, if you expand that out, grouped by OS family and product, if you expand out the vulnerabilities, you're going to see a new section in there called mobile devices. Once a mobile device has been identified, been checked against, then we're going to go back and be able to build out any kind of vulnerability assessments and updates that we found on that particular device family. And again, you're going to be able to see some more of those new options under the Unix section. So you're actually going to be able to start separating this stuff out. Now, if you notice, it was just a few things in our previous version. If you expand that now, it goes kind of crazy. You got all kinds of different things that you can look for under here now, including the KDE model that that you can use typically over SUSE distros. So there's going to be a lot of third-party applications, including some of that other stuff like PHP and Perl and some of the other stuff that might be running phpMyAdmin on the back of some of those distributions. Solaris, if you're running any of that. So you're going to be able to find a lot of that extra stuff that wasn't there before, and be able to identify these based on the different patches associated with those Linux distros. So again, very, very similar, very easy to do, just like you would before from the previous version. There's just some added components and some added features in here for those new devices, and then the new operating system types. Okay. Go ahead and flip back over to our presentation just to kind of go over some of the pricing again. It's not going to be something that's going to be very difficult. There's been a small change in how the pricing works, but nothing that would be too confusing. Pricing model is pretty much the same. The only difference is you'll notice that the licensing is per node or device now. It's not per IP. Reason being, of course, is because IPs don't carry on to mobile devices. They're going to be based on node, which is going to be carried over into LanGuard for your distribution as basically machine ID, or once a mobile device based on the operating system and manufacturer gets identified as a mobile device. So it'll accumulate a node license instead of an IP. Pricing model stays exactly the same, so there's no new pricing that has to be learned, anything like that. The tiers are going to be the same, and actually we're going to cover that here in just a minute. But the nice thing about this is it allows you to add or to sell more additional nodes, because first of all, any existing customers that you may have already had this deployed for, say they want to start doing mobile device types and stuff like that. That being said, this is something that you can actually leverage into those so that you can cover those different device types for those users or for those companies. A lot of things see is that a lot of companies have actually migrated to or start catering toward BYOD or mobile devices because of people are working out of the office more. This will really help you to maintain that relationship with that company by being able to manage and patch those mobile devices as well. Also, new customers, if this is one of the particular things that is a big deal for them, definitely something that you can cover, saying, yeah, you know what, we can definitely take care of your mobile devices, not to mention your servers and workstations. I have a nice special little offer going on for this new release, so take advantage of it while you can. It will not last forever. The GFI LanGuard purchase, once a new GFI LanGuard purchase is done, we will automatically receive 25% extra nodes for free for use on those mobile devices. So you've got another customer, you're going to sign up, either a renewal or an upgrade, or a customer that you're looking at getting on the LanGuard. Good way to get them on coverage for those mobile devices right from the start. So we're going to give you a couple extra nodes there on top of your base purchase in order to get those mobile devices covered. Again, just a little bit of detailed breakdown of the GFI LanGuard pricing model. Pricing is going to be based on node count as opposed to IP count. But it's still going to be modeled and tiered the same. For instance, 10 to 24 nodes, or in the past, 10 to 24 IPs would have been $30, $32 per IP. Now it's just $32 per node. Pricing models are still tiered the same way, so you don't have to learn any kind of new modeling for that. Also, upon initial purchase, the more nodes you buy, the less expensive it is per node. That part will not change either. License agreements will also be the same, 1, 2, and 3-year increments, with renewals mirroring that as well. Just to go over a quick summary, agentless smartphone and tablet vulnerability scanning. Again, very nice feature because you can do that without deploying any apps, add-ons, or anything to those mobile devices. Any support for iOS, Android, and also Windows-based or Windows mobile application or Windows mobile operating system device phones. And this also includes tablets, Android tablets, Windows 8 or Windows mobile tablets, and iOS for those iPads, a lot of people that are using. So you can also create those mobile device inventory reports so you can see who and when is connected to your network. It's really, really useful to be able to not only be able to check those for vulnerability sections, but actually be able to keep track of the ones that are connecting. Linux patch management, we've added those popular distributions in there, including Red Hat Enterprise, Linux, Ubuntu, OpenSUSE, CentOS, and Debian, which before was basically just some generic Unix, and added a lot more scanning to the various different third-party applications that you would run over those Linux distributions. So it's not just basic information for Linux anymore. We're actually covering a pretty full gamut for those servers and those backends. Adding a bunch more product patch management for some more third-party applications, not to mention the Linux components there. So there's been a lot of extra guts that we put in here, trying to make it a little bit more expandable for you. Reaching out above and beyond just servers and workstations is a big key piece, trying to listen to the feedback that you guys give us, letting us know that these particular things are something that our customers and end users are looking for, so that we're doing that. Constantly trying to improve and upgrade our products. You let us know, and we do our best to work those and get them out in timely fashions. If you need any reference materials, please do not hesitate to let us know. We want to help you. So if there's anything that you do need, you can actually get some information from your sales or your channel rep, or you can actually get this directly from the partner portal area if you're already a partner. Case studies, pricing, for instance, competitive comparisons and battle sheets. Those are going to be really, really useful pieces of information for you guys. If you want to know how this stacks up against something else, or if you want to see what kind of features we have where somebody else does not, this is where you're going to get that information from. Different prospecting questions or different things that we would suggest that you could use when communicating to your customers, finding out what the best solution, best fit is going to be. Real good, helpful information there. Some videos and webcasts, including this one, will be available. Different terminologies that they use whenever we're talking about different aspects that LanGuard helps you with, various different information, of course, the GFI knowledge base. Also to mention to you, I do not have this on the slides, so I will try and make this as clear as possible and reiterate. If you do have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to anyone here at GFI. We have a YouTube presence called GFI Tech Walks. It's a channel that we built out here recently, so it's in its relative infancy. But there's a lot of really good information, really good videos there, including product demonstrations. So if you want to be able to do basic navigation and information about the products, in particular GFI LanGuard, that is available on the GFI Tech Walks channel. We are also going to be including installation guides. I know this is going to be something that's going to be really helpful for you guys, especially when you're talking to your customers. So if you want to give them a brief product demo and give them a installation instructions or some basic walkthroughs on those, there are some videos there that are available, and we'll be adding those as frequently as we possibly can. So YouTube, GFI Tech Walks, that's GFI TECHWALKS, all one word, GFI space Tech Walks. Look for that, you'll find our channel, and if you do need some more detailed information, we'll be more than happy to provide that if you did not get that. Always have a plethora of tools that are available at your fingertips if you need it. I want to thank everyone so much for being with us today. Really enjoyed going through that. I appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedules. I know you guys are out there working with your customers and trying to get stuff done, so I appreciate the time. We're really excited about the new exciting features and some of those robust features that we've just added to GFI LanGuard. We really do hope that it proves to be beneficial to you, not only as our resellers and partners, but as our customers and end users. We really do hope that this is going to help you and help them as well. So please feel free to let us know if you do need any more additional assistance or materials. You can reach us at www.gfi.com, or if you are already a partner, go ahead and drop into your partner portal area and check it out. Look at some of the new resources that we've added as well. Or of course, again, as I mentioned before, you can contact your GFI channel account manager or a direct sales rep if you already have a relationship with one. Thanks again so much, and remember, here at GFI Software, we are the software solution providers for small and mid-sized business. Have a great day.